Oh, yeah, your Christmas thoughts. Go ahead with your random Christmas
I have
thoughts.
another one now.
Yeah.
Rudolph. I don't buy it.
What part?
I don't buy it. He wasn't bullied. There's no way.
You
There's
don't
no way.
You don't think he was bullied?
You're telling me a reindeer with a shiny, bright nose was bullied?
I will say this. I had this thought around Christmas time because I was watching Rudolph. In a community that is like, it's like Christmas 365.
Yeah.
It's reindeer and elves.
Mm-hmm.
You having a red light, born with a red light, you would be so famous.
You're telling me it would take people that long to realize that having a bright red shiny nose would come in handy
Around
Christmas 24/7?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, exactly.
So now I think it's
You know
reversed.
what? I think you're right.
I think we should have pity on the Grinch and zero pity on Rudolph. Rudolph was getting tail. You know it.
Dude.
You know it. Are you kidding me? Think about the animal kingdom.
Tail.
Think about the animal kingdom.
They're reindeer.
Yeah.
You lunatic.
Dude, in the animal kingdom, like the male or female species, however it works, like that has like a really bright, like eye-catching thing is the thing that gets the tail.
And it makes noise.
Dude, Rudolph is constantly peacocking.
Yeah,
He's just like
that's true.
strutting it off.
Except for when his dad tries to cover it up with dirt. Lame.
I know. I'm just like, I feel like if he was bullied, it's because everyone was jealous.
Yeah.
But it must have been.
See that.
How could it not have been inherently like seen as advantageous?
Yeah. And if you're going to not see it as advantageous for that long, what's all of a sudden going to make you be like, you know what?
Yeah.
That's going to be a great guide for the sleigh.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you're like, that's bright enough to be a giant flashlight. Also, I was rewatching Rudolph. Dude, Santa Claus is a savage to Rudolph whenever he's born.
What is up with all this savagery?
Whenever he was born, he came in and he had like the red nose or something. And Santa Claus was like, ooh, hopefully you could get that figured out.
He's not Rudolph
like,
the humpbacked reindeer.
Santa, bro.
They're acting like he's like hideous.
Yeah.
No, he's got
he
a
just
beautiful
has
red nose.
literally the single greatest thing you could have in a community of like Christmas loving creatures.
It's like a baby coming out jacked. You know, like
it's like cutting down a Christmas tree that has lights attached already.
It's like going to find a Christmas tree and one already has a star ornament on top
and all the decorations.
You're like, well,
all I have to do is put it up.
I'm taking this one.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and it's obvious that if you think about it,
it's like a baby being born jacked.
The Grinch,
it is.
The Grinch obviously did not create the mythology or write the song around himself because
he didn't write
it's making fun of himself. You know, Rudolph was behind the Rudolph propaganda. That is Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Red-Nosed Reindeer.
I mean, obviously they're fictional, but if they were real, Rudolph was behind that.
You know
song.
what really used to scare me about Rudolph? The Abominables, the snowman. And I really liked the climber dude.
Well, if you have a name like that, how are you not intimidating?
I mean, he ends up being a sweetheart.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
There's that.
So anyway.
Also, how long would those have taken to make? Gosh. The little like. Take a picture.
Yeah, the
Move
stop
it,
motion.
Take a picture.
Yeah.
Move it. Take a picture.
They had more time back then. There was no Netflix. There's no cell phones.
No Hulu. No Amazon.
No Twitter.
No social media.
No. Whatever Facebook is now, Meta.
No Warzone. The metaverse. There's no metaverse.
Anyway, I say all this so next year, I want all of us as a society to lift up the Grinch and let's not, feed Rudolph's ego anymore. I'm just kind of tired of it.
I don't disagree with either of those statements. I mean, I think Rudolph, his childhood was maybe a little more difficult than people did rag on him, like Santa Claus himself.
I don't buy it. I think Rudolph made that up.
No.
To get some sympathy.
Santa Claus himself kind of said some sus things about Rudolph, and that's got to do something to your self-esteem.
Okay.
But then, you come through and save Christmas. I mean, you're pretty much good to go. You know what my favorite movie was that I watched this Christmas season?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's pronounced Claus or Klaus.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
the Netflix animated movie.
I saw that when I was scrolling, and I was like, "This looks kind of good,"
Dude,
but I didn't watch it.
That was good. I wouldn't say it's for kids, but
Right.
yeah, I really, really liked it.
I'll have to add that to my Christmas viewing next year.
Are you gonna watch it? Yeah, I was gonna say you kind of missed your shot this year.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so we don't spend too long on Christmas.
Sure.
We already had the Christmas episode. I do want to bring up something real quick.
Okay.
Evan, you've been goofing it up on this podcast, man. You've made multiple mistakes.
Yeah.
So I put it.
Yeah.
If you watched the podcast last time.
Are we touching on this now?
Yeah.
Because you told me last time, you just shouldn't have mentioned it at all. So I was like, I'm just not going to mention mistakes that I catch later.
Last week, you brought up how you made the mistake of calling the Mask of Zorro the Mask of Zorro. But that wasn't a mistake. It is the Mask of Zorro.
Okay, here's what happened.
The Legend of Zorro is the sequel, and that one stinks.
Here's what happened. I was scrolling and I saw the Legend of Zorro, and it had like the cover art of the Mask of Zorro, but it wasn't the Mask of Zorro. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I called that the wrong thing, because it had like Antonio Banderas on the cover. And I was like fooled by it. And I was like, I guess I called it the wrong thing. And so then innocently I was like, I'm going to try to correct my mistake, but ended up making a double mistake.
I had to put text on the screen to correct you.
I saw it.
But here's the thing. I'm culpable too, because, and if you watch the episode, you'll see me make a face.
Yeah.
Like I don't think that's right.
Well, no, I made another mistake.
But you were so confident. I was like, oh, maybe it is flip-flopped. Maybe the first one is Legend.
I think I made another mistake too. I caught one, but I can't remember what it is.
No,
what was it?
You corrected me. I said Miracle on 34th Street.
Oh, man.
And you said it's not Miracle on 34th Street.
It sounded wrong to me at the time.
But then we were like, what street is it? And you go, I don't know, but I know it's not 34th. 31st sounds better. And I was convinced. And so then on Christmas, I'm scrolling through Christmas movies, and what do I see?
It's the
Miracle on 30 freaking 4th Street.
You know what? You are culpable. You shouldn't be so gullible. You shouldn't be so easily swayed.
That's true. I just, whatever you correct me, I'm like, oh yeah, okay.
Let me just say though, 31st does sound better. I'm not.
That's how you convinced me. It does sound better.
I may be wrong about the title of the movie, but I'm not wrong about the fact that 31st sounds better.
You know what my next thought was? I saw that and I went, wait, what if this is like an Ocean's franchise thing?
No, yeah, dude, Andrew, the original is 31st.
Yeah, I was like, what if there's a first one?
That's the
and they
third
made
movie.
Sequels
that's
and they
the
just
third
kept adding the streets.
Yeah, that's the third one.
And then if you think about it, like, you think 35th Street's like, I don't get a miracle.
No, we skipped over.
Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah, those. I made a mistake, and then that wasn't actually a mistake, and then I doubled down on that mistake, and then made a Christmas mistake as well. But hey, in the spirit of Christmas, let's just forget about it.
You're lucky that we don't have a big enough audience.
Oh man, I would get so much.
I would
get destroyed.
I'm finding this, so
yeah. Well, thank you for mentioning it.
I'm excited to see what this week's goof is.
Yeah, let's throw a little mistake in there. You
know. Okay. Well, I think it's time for the main event.
All right. I can't even remember what the main event is now.
We are re-entering the Matrix.
Oh yeah.
So this past weekend, we got to see it in theaters.
Yes, we did.
And then I, like a crazy person, drove home and put it on HBO and watched it again.
Back-to-back viewings.
Which is something I've never done, which I've never had the ability to.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of glad if this Warner Brothers experiment ends soon of simultaneous streaming in the theater. I'm glad I got to do that with a movie once, because it was interesting to do that.
I was rewatching it today, so I guess that was about we saw it 4 days ago or something.
Right. Okay, so you recently rewatched it.
Yeah.
I know your thoughts post movie theater. You were a little mixed. Now I'm curious, how are you feeling now?
Now, after a little reflection, I actually really like what it was doing. I will say I don't think every single part of the movie was executed absolutely perfect.
How dare you? No, yeah, you're right.
But I think that I feel like that's a really tough position to be in with a story that's so complicated. You have to come up with a storyline that's like, that feels fresh, but honors the feeling of the old movies. And I think that they came up with something that was really, really inventive and good and creative.
Yeah.
And they found a way to further the story and not tell the same story over again. Yeah. One little tidbit that I hated the first time I watched it, but really liked the second time I watched it, was when they were in the Matrix, it didn't feel like the old Matrix.
Right.
It felt...
Well, technically it wasn't.
I'm getting there. So it felt cleaner and new and shiny and like a brand new department store, like the bathroom in a building that was just built.
Yeah.
It's like so fresh and so clean and like spotless. That's how the Matrix felt. And I was like, oh, this doesn't like feel as like real and gritty and like cool as the old Matrix felt. And then I realized towards the end of the first viewing of the movie, but especially in those opening scenes in the second viewing of the movie, like, this is a brand new Matrix.
Yeah.
Like, this is new software. This isn't old Matrix software. Like, this is a different Matrix completely. So it's brand new and it's clean and it's shiny and it's different. And like that, they're setting this Matrix apart from the other by having it feel this certain way, which I actually think was genius and really, really cool. But it was like just jarring at first, because I think it feels more grounded. In the old movies, it feels grounded because it's like, this is more like gritty, like this is more like what it would actually be like in a city.
Yeah.
But then in the new one, it's like there's no trash on the streets. There's no like, people like people out of place. It just seems squeaky clean and kind of fresh.
Yeah.
Which I think that was like completely on purpose. Yeah.
That's an interesting word, jarring. And I think a lot of people, when they watch, are going to feel a little jarred. And I think the key to this movie, and with any movie, honestly, but when you're talking about a fourth movie in a franchise, one where the most recent movie was in 2003, and it's a popular franchise, like, you need to go into this and just be open.
Hugely popular.
Yeah. The key to this is just to be open to what Lana Wachowski is trying to do. Because if you go up there with your like really heavy, like, I want it to be like the old Matrix expectations, I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm just saying like, you're going to struggle at first.
Definitely.
And that's why the second viewing for me was good. I wouldn't say I went in guarded. I was just, I had just rewatched the movies, and like so much is thrown at you that you're kind of just like, you're like this the whole movie, and that's not the best way to watch it, where you're like on your heels.
Especially that first 15 minutes, they're explaining really detailed logistics of what's going on and how it's happened. So if you're not kind of grasping that portion of it right out of the gate, it can be kind of tough, because you're constantly, like, I found myself during the first viewing.
Yeah, they're like, we're in a modal of, blah, blah.
I found myself constantly referencing that first 15 minutes of like, okay, so he got here because of what happened back at the beginning.
Right.
And it's like, that's how we are here now. Where it's like the second viewing, you just go in with the understanding more of what's going on. So it's like, okay, like, I've got it. Like, I understand a little more of it now, and I can appreciate how wild this and complicated this story is, and what it says about the world that we live in, which I feel like we've watched two movies that kind of reference culture, or like the idea of disconnecting or connecting to like the people around you.
Yeah.
What do you think? what do you think some of like the subtext, like underlying themes, how do you think it did addressing some of that stuff?
Well, the first time I was picking up on it, but the movie's going so fast, you're trying to simultaneously like understand what the movie's doing, like within just like story wise, like plot.
Yeah.
And I'm also trying to understand thematically. And with all the new plot elements, it was hard to do both.
I agree.
And so when we left the first time, I was like, I had this feeling of, I feel like it was a movie trying to argue why it shouldn't exist, but I'm wrong.
Sure.
I'm wrong. And I can see why a lot of other people think that too. But when I rewatched it, having like really focusing on the ending, because like the whole idea of like the ending is the conceit, like the ending of a movie is the movie saying this is what the whole movie's about.
Right.
And so I was thinking about the ending. So when I put it back on, I'm watching and I go, oh, the movie opens very intentionally on a reflection in the ground. So it opens on...
What an opening. What a cool opening.
You see footsteps walking in a very familiar scene.
Yeah.
And then it pans up and you realize it's a reflection. And right away, it's telling you everything you need to know. This is a movie about reflections in the past and similarities, but also simultaneously something new. And you see the opening of Matrix 1 play out, and like Bugs, the new character, says, this isn't the same story.
Yeah.
So again, there's all the meta stuff.
Yeah.
But what helped me the second movie was when you get to the scenes with Neo in the new Matrix, and he's the video game designer, and you get all that meta stuff about making the Matrix video game.
Yeah.
I watched it with the understanding that Neo in those scenes is Lana Wachowski.
Yeah.
And it's her experience of wanting to make a new Matrix movie, and being told from all these other people what her movie is.
Well, and the second time I was struck even more by that conversation that Neo has with his boss in his office, where he's like, our partner or our parent company, Warner Brothers, has that. And I was shocked that they actually said like the company's name, like the real company's name. Look, and they were like, they've said they're going to make this with or without us. Yeah. So like, you know, and I was like, if that is what happened, what a move to put that in the movie, you know?
Here's what I'll say about Warner Brothers. They have made a lot of mistakes recently.
Yeah.
They have. They're not the best run company, but Disney would never. I don't think Disney would ever do that.
No.
And you know what? Props to Warner Brothers to let that happen.
Yeah.
And
it was something. It got my attention. I was like, wow, that's.
But so like I think and that's why I said like this second time I realized how personal of a story it is for Lana Wachowski.
Yeah.
Because having read some stuff of what she said, there was this understanding that Warner Brothers was trying to make a new sequel.
Yeah.
And they reached out to her, but she wasn't interested, and neither was her sister.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, we're going to move forward. We'd like to have you, but we're going to move forward.
Right.
And then her parents died. And she got to this point where, and I would encourage you all to like go look up her quote, because I don't want to butcher it, but you know, she got to a point where she lost some friends and lost some family, and she was feeling really lonely, and she reached out in her mind to Neo and Trinity, to like these very familiar characters.
Yeah.
And she had the idea for the story, and she wanted to go back and reconnect with those people. So a lot of people are reading this movie as a cynical anti-sequel film, and I don't think that's exactly accurate. I think it's a critique of a very specific type of making a sequel of, we're going to do a cash grab. We're going to capitalize on like what we think people want.
The nostalgia. And all that stuff.
And like, if you think about Neo sitting there, like being told like, this is what the Matrix is about. This is what the Matrix is about. It's about bullet time. Yeah. It's about this. It's about, you know, a capitalist critique. It's about blah, blah, blah. And like, I could just picture Lana being like, all these people want to make the Matrix without me, but the Matrix has always been a personal story for her and her sister.
Yeah.
And when you think about the very ending of the movie, what does Trinity say? We're going to, because they now have the power to manipulate the Matrix.
Yeah.
We're going to make it in the image that we want.
Yeah.
And for me, this whole movie is a meta commentary, not just on like, sequels are bad, blah, blah, blah. I think it's more nuanced. It's a commentary on being able to tell your story.
Yeah.
And fighting for the ability to tell your story the way you want.
Well, and giving yourself the allowance to be able to say at the beginning of the movie, I was done with this story.
Yeah.
I was done with this. Because I think Neo at one point, or one character, I think it's Neo, says like, I thought I was done with the Matrix.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then allowing yourself to find it again in a new way.
Yeah,
and
that's exactly it.
Let that be the story.
Yeah.
The fact that you thought you were done, but you connected with it and you came back and made something new. Yeah. Again, and reinvented it and made it modern to where it speaks to what's going on now in our world and our culture and you know, I think speaks to a lot of those things really well. I mean, I think it's overt and you just can't get away from that idea of like you're hooking up to this software program.
Yeah.
And you get into this world that's idealistic and different, and you get whatever you want whenever you want it. Things are kind of just handed to you and given to you, but it's equal parts pain and equal parts euphoria.
Yeah.
And even though it's painful, and even though when we're hooked up to this, and I think the metaphor is like cell phones, or when we're online, or when we're on social media, we see all these things that make us critique ourselves and make us like check ourselves and be like, you're not good enough. Like, you're not attractive enough. You're not smart enough. You're not talented enough. And we're a glutton for punishment. We keep going back for that pain because the movie kind of critiques that the human brain of like, we thrive on that, like suffering and the pleasure kind of it.
Yeah. But I think it also works like even just inherent in like Neo's story.
Yeah.
In that I think it's great that Lana found a way to tell a story that was personal to her, but it also made sense for Neo within the story. Mm-hmm. That if you think about the original trilogy, it's about, you know, in general terms, the first movie seems to me to be about living in a loop, living in like you're a cog in the machine.
Yeah. You feel like you have no purpose.
Yeah. Like, you know, like it was really heavy when I rewatched it with like his bosses at his work being like, we want you here 9 to 5, blah, blah, blah. It's like very structure, very much like these are the rules. You live, you're a part of the machine. And then realizing all that's a story, it's an illusion.
Right.
And you can break through it. And then you have the power to manipulate story, reality. So like the fictions, the stories that rule our lives, you know, politics, money, like they're all just stories.
Well, and that's
and the beautiful,
I think it's the beautiful thing about the Matrix in general. Mm-hmm. But I think the fourth one, it just felt like it works on so many levels. Yeah. That it's just a really layered movie where it's like there are things about relationships, there are things about like the lies we tell ourselves to kind of get through the day, like what we plug into to dissociate from what's going on in our lives. I feel like there's so much, it's so rich with those themes and those storylines. Yeah. And I just think it's one of those movies, there's just so much to unpack. And after the first viewing, that's what I felt like. Yeah. I was like on the fence about it just because I felt like I just need to sit with this for a while because there's so much. I felt like there was so much to unpack there. So I don't know. I think that's kind of hard to have. It's kind of hard to suggest a movie that you know potentially could need like 2 viewings to really enjoy it. But to me, I think that's awesome because it just goes to show the amount of work and love and just like themselves, like how personal it is. Like you said, like they just put themselves into the movie.
Like, I don't know whether it worked for you or not. Like, I think it'd be hard pressed of you to deny that there was no effort or ingenuity or creativity. Like she was really swinging for the fences, and that's the whole thing. It's like, I feel like she purposefully referenced and showed a lot of the old stuff as a way to show you like look, I'm trying something new. Like, I'm using the sandbox of the Matrix, what you know, but I'm arguing for there's always a newness you can approach. You can always recreate yourself. And that works within the story and the meta story of herself, where, look, I'm going back to this sandbox, but we can still change things up and pursue new things and not be stuck in this loop.
Yeah.
And I just love that she found a way that for Neo, like, you could say, well, the story was told, Neo's journey was over. And I'm like, no, like, if you really think about what Neo goes through and Trinity, this I think is essential to the story, because like when you go that typical hero's journey route and you self-realize, you self-actualize, and you make the sacrifice, you become the hero, there's always the other end of that journey, which is you become older, you start to doubt yourself. And if you think about it as like Lana Wachowski's story, like, oh, this is what the Matrix is. Everyone's telling her what it is. Like, she's tempted with, can I go back? Should I go back? Can I still find the creativity to recreate myself as an artist? There's always that point where it's like, you did it, you won the battle, but time goes on. Are you able to recreate yourself? Are you able to remember and have faith in yourself again? And that was Neo's journey of like, he has to find faith in himself again and remember and have the newfound hope to keep going. And I thought that was really powerful to see someone like Neo, who's already been through the battle, but then gets to the point where, you know, he's older, he's doubting again. The system, the machine keeps going.
He doesn't want to fight anymore. He doesn't want to be a part of it anymore. Like, and in the movie, you can kind of see him playing with the idea of like, man, maybe I don't want to take the red pill. Like, maybe I'm done. Like, I don't want to do this stuff anymore. And he has to kind of find that within himself. And I mean, he what he finds is Trinity, and that's the reason why he ends up going back.
Yeah, if you really think about like the allegory of the Matrix, like I know for the Wachowskis, it was a very personal, like their trans experience. Obviously that's not an experience I know. But like, that's obviously really clear in the movies when you watch them. But like, on a larger general scale, like there is this idea of that I think anyone can relate to, of like society tries to like exist in this one specific way, and you open your eyes to the idea that this is all just a story, and you have power to, you know, take your life in whatever path you see fit.
Right.
And there comes a point in your life where you've done that battle and you fought for what you believe in and you see the world this way, so you fight for it. But there comes a point when you start to get battle worn and doubtful. And you need someone like Trinity to choose you.
Right.
And to be there for you when you can't choose yourself. You know what I mean? And like, I feel like that's what this story is about, like on both a meta and just like within the framework of the story. And I thought it was interesting when you watch the movie, the whole beginning part is like, oh, what is the Matrix? The Matrix is this. But I think Lana at the end tells you what the Matrix has always been. And that's a love story. All the movies have been really heavy-handed love stories. And I love how she just goes, everyone's talking about bullet time and the action and blah, blah, blah. And the mind-bending stuff. And she gave us more of that. But really what she did was she goes, no, this is a stinking hard on your sleeve, cheesy love story. And I love that moment when they have to jump off the building and Neo's still not ready to fly yet. And Trinity's the one who catches him. And I'm just like, man, I'm a sucker for that kind of sappiness, you know?
Yeah, man.
And
no, the more we talk about it, the more I think about it, I think it's just one of those movies that the deeper you get into it, the more you realize is there. And I just think the more we talk about it, the more I realize it was just a really thoughtfully made movie, and I just really liked it.
Well, let me ask you this, because when I first watched it, like beyond just like the thematic stuff, like the more just nitty gritty, like the action, I remember watching and going like, I don't know how much I love like some of these action sequences. I rewatched it, and a lot of them played better this time.
Yeah.
But I was curious to get your take on that.
There were a couple of sequences in particular that I wasn't the biggest fan of. The train sequence.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't a huge fan of the train sequence.
Yeah.
And the where Neo and Agent Smith fight for the first time after them kind of like actualizing again. Some of that, and I'm no like expert on choreography and stuff like that, but some of it seemed a little fake. Like it didn't quite carry like you wanted it to. Like sometimes like there were certain parts where Keanu Reeves would do something and you're like, oh, he looks a little older.
Yeah.
you know, where it's just kind of like you realizing that it looks a little different than you would maybe expect it to, and it takes you out of the movie a little bit.
Yeah.
I felt like the train sequence was so, again, I come back to this idea of like everything is so like clean looking almost. Like the colors are really bright and popping and they're in Tokyo on the train and they're getting chased. And I for that scene especially, I felt like there were no emotional stakes really. Like you knew they were going to escape, so they were just escaping.
Yeah.
And I will say in this movie, I realized like almost every crew member in the first movie dies.
Yeah.
And no crew members were harmed in the making of this film.
Well, yeah, that's something I thought about too, was the first Matrix and really the original trilogy do a really good job of putting threats within the Matrix and outside. And so like you have a dual situation of they're in the Matrix, there's a physical threat.
Yeah.
There's a physical threat on the ship. And I feel like in this movie, it was like the first one in the series where there wasn't like a constant threat in real life on the ship pairing with the Matrix. And I just think that's like a really simple way to add like tension. And I thought that was interesting that they didn't do that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but I think overall there were like the fight sequences were really good. And
it was different.
I didn't have a problem with it. There were a couple of times where there was something that happened that took me out of it a little bit where I was like, oh.
I will say the third act stuff I thought really worked. Like the motorcycle chase sequence.
Yeah. The stuff on the roof was awesome.
On the roof was
it's really cool.
It was really well done.
Well, and it looked amazing.
It looked really good.
Yeah, it looked amazing.
And like
the stuff on the roof.
That's where practicality comes in handy. Like you could tell they were actually on a roof. Yeah. And like they actually jumped off the building. I mean, they had ropes and stuff. Yeah.
But they actually did it.
It looked so visceral.
Yeah. No, that ending sequence was really, really cool. And you could tell. And it really does just make, to me, to my eye, it just makes such a difference to have it be practical. Yeah. I just always, I find myself really struck by like scenes that take place that are practical. And I understand that like, you know, it's not like every time something is CGI, I'm like, oh, I just got completely taken out of the movie. Like that's not true. There are plenty of people that do it really, really well. And I love it. I love CGI and how that can look sometimes. But it really is striking to have like large portions of the movie were CGI and then to have that at the end where it's pretty much all practical. Yeah. It was like a really drastic juxtaposition where it was like, oh, this looks awesome.
Yeah, I agree. I think just real quick, like on an overall scale, I think it was a really conscious choice by Lana to do the action differently aesthetically. Like the original trilogy has a lot of that kung fu style, like put the camera wide angle, not a lot of cuts in the action, which I really enjoy, but I think she wanted to just go a different route and not make it so reminiscent. Yeah. And I think in some of the scenes, like there was a lot of like really up close, quick cutting action sequences, and it seemed a little claustrophobic and like kind of a little too choppy.
And I think you said the word that I couldn't quite come up with earlier was claustrophobic.
Yeah.
Where both of the scenes that I mentioned took place in a small train.
Yeah.
And then the other scene I mentioned took place, and it was kind of like a small, cramped area where there were walls and stuff that they were like kind of punching and breaking. But it felt both of those scenes kind of felt like you were cramped.
But on the rewatch, like knowing that I was going to get that type of action, it played a little better.
Yeah, yeah.
But I will say, it doesn't even matter because I feel like all the best scenes in this movie are like the human, like just dialogue scenes.
Dude, that scene with him and with Neo and Trinity in the coffee shop.
It's so
talking
palpable.
about like what they wanted for their future and like
it's like that's where it's at.
Man, that scene was probably I will say I feel like Keanu Reeves felt a little stilted in some scenes, like stiff, but that scene was like really, really good.
Yeah, there were a couple scenes here I was like, Keanu's like bringing it acting wise.
Yeah. But that scene was like, oh man, that was awesome.
Yeah. So overall, I really liked it.
Yeah, me too.
I still think there's like enough in there that I'm like, there's enough in there that didn't work to where like I can't put it at like that the first Matrix or even Reloaded. But it's still really good.
I feel like I'm one of the few people that really liked Reloaded.
Reloaded slaps.
I loved Reloaded.
It's so good.
I thought it was my favorite one growing up.
It's really good.
Yeah. I really enjoyed it. I think for a movie that you're making nearly 20 years later, you're continuing that story. They did it in a way that was really inventive and really spoke to the culture now. And I really liked it. I enjoyed it. And I think the rewatchability of it is high.
Yeah.
I think it's very rewatchable.
I watched it twice in one night.
Yeah.
With like a 10-minute gap in between.
I started watching it tonight and I was like, man, if I'm not into this, like I'm ready to go on this. And it's 2.5 hours. So yeah, I liked it.
Yeah.
It was good.
Well, I don't know how much time we have left in the episode, but I think we should bring something up that we both watched a new movie.
Yeah.
Called Don't Look Up.
Oh, yeah.
Here's the thing. I've been biting my tongue.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you now. I didn't like it.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm going to wait to tell him that on the podcast.
All right. I loved it.
So I was like, this will be interesting.
I really, really liked it. I am interested to hear your critiques because sometimes what happens is I feel one way and then you start talking about certain things and I'm like, I think he's right. So I really, really enjoyed it. And I'm fascinated to hear what you have to say negative.
It's one of those things where it's like, I could maybe like go deeper on why it didn't work.
Yeah.
But when it comes to a movie like this, like it's just as simple as I didn't find it that engaging as a story, and as a satire, I didn't find it that funny. And it's just like
interesting.
Like if you're going to make a satire and you don't find it funny, like I don't know, like I don't know what else to say.
Yeah.
It's just
I wonder if that's from the subject matter. You just didn't find it funny.
Here's how I would explain it.
I thought it was hilarious. Like I thought it was so funny.
I felt bad because we're watching it together and you would start laughing and you would look at me and I'd be like, I was getting
smile. Destroyed. I was like, this is hilarious to me.
And like, I don't enjoy not liking movies. Like, I really don't.
Sure.
And I've actually been a fan of Adam McKay's two most recent, like non straight up comedy films. Like I really like The Big Short. I enjoyed Vice. I didn't think it was as good as that one, but I enjoyed it for what it was. This one felt to me like a modern SNL political cold open. And I'm an SNL fan. I'm not one of those like haters. It's like, oh, SNL was better in 2002. You know, like I don't care. Like I watch it every week.
Sure.
I do loathe the political cold opens because they always take the most obvious jabs at whatever administration it is.
Sure.
And then like, especially now,
Yeah.
not even the Trump administration, like both administrations.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're so beyond like parody. Like they are parodies of themselves.
Yeah. Well, the cold open is the meme of the week.
Yeah.
They take that and basically make it
And
into
like
a cold open. Yeah.
with SNL, I watch it every week. I'm like, okay, yeah. So Joe Biden had a fly on his head, and then you do a cold open where you also put a fly on his head, but then maybe you give the fly a voice. Like it's just like we all made fun of this on Twitter.
It's like, well, it's like legit. Like the internet's making fun of Joe Biden because he's tired.
Or like,
and it's like
when Trump did with Giuliani did the meeting at the Four Seasons landscaping.
Oh yeah.
How do you satirize that? That is a satire. It's already
yeah.
And so I'm watching this, and like I agree with its message. I'm on board with we need to get this planet in shape. I agree with the things you had to say about the media and about politicians, but I just felt like the jabs were so obvious that it almost felt toothless. And like I don't know, it's just like they're like the things they made fun of with the media and the politicians were just like, we all know this.
Yeah, but I don't think,
and then like it wasn't insightful enough. Like the comedy wasn't insightful enough, or
I don't think the jabs though were directed at them.
I think it was.
That's the part that I felt was funniest, because I felt like the movie was pointing at the audience, and it was saying, "You stand idly by, while these people do this, and you allow it to happen." And you're the reason why you're the reason why they can continue. You're the reason why you watch it every day. Everyone watches this show every day, and they know that it's fake. They know that it's BS, but they do it anyway. And that's what I thought was so funny, was that I felt like the movie was pointing a finger at the audience saying, this is what you asked for.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, yeah, I felt that too. And part of me was just like, why are you punching down like that? Like, yeah, I think there are some audience members who probably aren't aware that they're a part of the problem, but it's like, well, they're not going to be the ones watching this. Yeah. Well. And so I was like, yeah, like I get that it's making fun of the cultural moment of like, you're too obsessed on your phones. You're too obsessed with what celebrity is dating who.
Well,
it's like,
and I think it comes back to this idea, because I think that the movie was about being aware of climate change and how to deal with that, and having the willingness to make sacrifices and do the right things, even though it's unpopular. And like, I think that like the more serious beats of the movie were about that. But I think I got a big, like by the end of the movie, I felt like they were saying like, being with your people that you love is what is ultimately what's important. That line at the very end of the movie where Leonardo Dicaprio says, like, I guess I'm probably going to butcher it, but he says something to the effect of, I guess we didn't realize we had everything we needed all along. Right. Like we had this desire to want more, to get more money, get more entertainment, to get more beautiful, to get, all this stuff. But it's like, we didn't need any of that stuff. None of that was important. Us being together was the important thing. And like, we didn't realize we had everything the whole time. Yeah. And we're not realizing. And the tragedy of that is that we're not realizing it now until it's all gone.
Yeah. Like, it's one of those movies where it's like, I agree. It's like, I agree with what the movie's saying, which makes it hurt even more, where it's like, I'm on your team. Right. Like, whatever message you're getting out here, I endorse it. But like, I wish it was for me, a movie that entertained me and made me laugh a little bit more. Right. Because again, it's like, I understand the myopic view of the characters, of even the guy, Leonardo DiCaprio, who's trying to sound the bell, got caught up in the game. Like, I get that. And I just felt like a lot of the observations were just like, yeah, we all get this. Like, we all know this is the problem. Like, we all know the media, the politicians, the culture like this. I just wish it was a little bit more insightful, and like, just again, like I said at the beginning, like take that all aside. Just like, I wish the jokes themselves were better. Like, I just didn't.
Sure.
They just didn't work for me. And I'm just like, and so like, if you're not going to make me laugh throughout 2.5 hours, it's going to be a slog.
I understand a little bit of what you're saying, because I actually don't think there are that many jokes in the movie.
Right.
Because they're just writing a potential reality of what could happen.
Right.
If a comet was going to come destroy Earth.
Yeah.
The things that could be said on TV, the things that could be done by large tech operations. Like, I think largely the movie isn't really telling jokes. It's just painting a reality, a world that could exist if this happened. And the funny thing is, the funny thing about it is that it's not that far from what you think could happen. And it's like, it's a horror movie in that way.
Yeah.
And it's also kind of funny because you're looking at yourself being like, yeah, I feed into this. I do this. That's something that I would watch. That's something I would enjoy.
Why it didn't work for me, because even the dramatic elements, I'm like, this is so close to reality. Like, I know how this movie ends.
Right.
I was like, it's just gonna, like, nothing's gonna work.
Yeah.
And so like, I couldn't, I don't know, like the characters were mostly feeling just like kind of like on their pedestal, preaching about a cause I already believed in. And then I'm like, this is so close to reality. Like, I know where this is going. I didn't think some of like the satire, the way it's painting some of the characters was that funny, because it's like, it's just obvious.
Right.
But, it's like, whatever. Yeah. I don't hate the movie. I was just kind of underwhelmed. Just like,
right.
Yeah. Like, it didn't really work. It wasn't that funny to me. And like, just the story itself wasn't that engaging. So,
yeah.
But
well, and hey, that's fine.
Here's the thing.
But I enjoyed the heck out of it. I was super entertained by it.
But here's the thing. It's the rare time we disagreed on a movie.
Yeah, it is.
On this podcast.
It really is. But I thought Leonardo DiCaprio had one of the great freakouts. He's great
on freaking out.
He is a fantastic, like, Tom Cruise running. Leonardo DiCaprio is that of freakouts.
Well, this stage of his career is my favorite so far. Like, the fact that like people like Tarantino and Adam McKay are realizing that Leonardo can play these really neurotic characters this well has been a revelation. Yeah. Because
I thought was, I mean, he's good in a lot of the things he's in. Yeah. He's one of the greatest actors alive right now. Yeah. But I thought I really enjoyed him in this movie. He was fun to watch. That
he got started as like the pretty boy heartthrob. Right. And now he's at a stage of his career where he plays these really neurotic, sweaty, just like nervous characters.
I love that you use the word sweaty.
It's just like, it's so good that he can do that. Like, I'll say it. His performance in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is my favorite performance of his. Yeah. He is so hilarious in that movie.
I will say of you, because this is one of the rare times we disagree on a movie, I kind of feel like you're taking the movie a little bit too... I think you're holding its feet to the fire a little too hard.
I don't know, man.
Because at the end of the day, it is a comedy. Like, it is trying to have... It is trying... It's doing what good comedy does, which is taking something dark and kind of serious and scary and making it to where we can talk about it. Yeah. And it's, they're lightening it up a little bit. But I think you have to remember, like, at the end of the day, I think they did want people to be able to have fun and watch the movie. Yeah. If you didn't have as much fun as you thought you would watching it, that's fine. But, I think maybe your expectations were just really high. And
it's one of those things where I'm not going to write a diatribe on it that I hated it so much. Sure. This is probably the last time I'll do it, but I just wanted to bring it up because we never have this back and forth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so again, like, I made it through. I was just a little underwhelmed. Yeah. And I was just like,
well, and I mean, a lot of the performances were really good. And I mean, that helped carry through. Yeah. I'm sure if you weren't enjoying it, you could at least enjoy Leonardo DiCaprio having panic attacks in the bathroom.
Seeing Leonardo DiCaprio finally be paired with someone his own age.
Yeah.
That was a little like, I was like, whoa.
Jarring.
It's like Leonardo DiCaprio paired with a woman who's...
How do his eyes keep getting bluer and bluer?
Yeah, the color correcting.
Oh, shut up.
Yeah, it's contacts. He has purple eyes.
No, but I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the scenes where they were on the morning show and just doing their best to like keep up the facade of, literally everyone's going to die in 25 days, but they're still having a morning show.
Yeah.
Talking about like, cute stories about,
I will
things.
say, just a quick shout out to anyone who's interested. This story was very similar to one of my favorite book series in recent memory called The Last Policeman. And it's a story about there's a impending comet coming to Earth and everyone's determined that it's going to hit, the world's going to end, there's nothing we can do. And so the whole premise of the book is like, what does the world look like when everyone knows they're going to die?
Right.
And it follows a police officer who, because the world's ending, and I think in that book, like it's further in the future. It's not 6 months. It's probably like a year and a half to 2 years or something.
Yeah.
It's like, what does the world look like when everyone knows their time's up? And so everyone like quits the police force and he finally gets promoted to detective. Yeah. Because there's no one else.
Everyone quits.
And he is determined to keep investigating crimes when no one else wants to.
Yeah.
And what's really weird is that, I don't even want to say it, but because I don't want to spoil the book series, but both movies end very similarly to the point where I thought, did Adam McKay read The Last Policeman?
Right.
Anyway, but I just wanted to shout out one of my favorite book series. That's a really good.
Yeah. Interesting. No, I thought that, I thought the movie was, I really enjoyed it. You could tell there was a lot of improv. Mm-hmm. But I thought that there really weren't a lot of written jokes. Mm-hmm. Most of the things that were hilarious, that were like, most of the things that were funny were just like made up or like improvised. Because I saw a thing about Adam McKay talking about it, and he said like he let everybody do a ton of improv, and like a lot of the funniest moments of the movie were improv. Yeah. So I think I don't think they wrote a lot of jokes for the movie. I think they relied on a lot of improv from the actors for the funny moments, and like
whatever it was,
the other funny. The other funny moments were just like, it was funny because you were realizing like, oh yeah,
well the best
I do that.
The best recurring joke was the guy who made him pay for the snacks.
Oh man,
that
really made me laugh.
I was like,
she just couldn't let go of the fact
the fact that she kept bringing it up.
That
he's a 5-star general. Why is he charging us for $20? Yeah.
Yeah, that part was really funny.
But everybody watching or listening, Marcotte, that was the first movie where we have polar opposite opinions on.
Very, very different.
It is
opinions, experiences.
It is rare, but every once in a while our tastes differ just enough.
Yeah.
I can't even remember the last one, but
I can't really either, to be honest with you. Wow. First in a while here.
First in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
But that was it. Don't look up. I mean, hey, I'm still an Adam McKay fan. I'll line up for whatever he has.
Well, and I mean, you're not saying that you hate it. You're just, you didn't enjoy it as much as you thought you would. That's fine. It happens. Hey, it happens, man. It happens. It happens. That's what, I mean, honestly, that's what happened with me in not the Dark Knight.
I was like, what?
The Green Knight.
Oh, the Green Knight. Yeah.
Yeah. I was a little underwhelmed with it.
Yeah. Well, you should watch my 17-minute explanation.
I did. And it helped me appreciate it a little more because I didn't know, like, I had to read up about, like, after I watched it, I read up about a lot of the backstory, which helped.
I can see that, though, because, again, The Green Knight's one of those movies where you got to be fully engaged with it, and there is kind of like a dry spell in the middle of the movie. Yeah.
Well, and
it's marketed like a
medieval
action film, and it's really not. It's not.
Introspective,
coming of age. Very
introspective, and by the end of the movie, if you weren't going along with what the movie was trying to tell you, you will not have any answers.
Yeah.
So, But hey, you loved that one. I kind of felt a little underwhelmed. Yeah. I got there though. The more we talked about it. So now you have
to make a 17-minute don't look up.
Don't look up.
Video
All
essay.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
So well, I don't think we have enough time for me to dive into the card counter. But I did watch that.
If we dove into the card counter, it would only be you diving in because I have not seen it.
But there's a lot more I'm looking forward to. I still need to see Licorice Pizza, but it's not out in the Midwest.
We're getting chipped.
So I think next week, here's my idea. We do like a end of year review.
Yeah.
And we talk about like our favorite movies from this past year. Hopefully we can squeeze in some more. There's still a ton of movies I want to see. I want to see, I don't even know if some of these we've talked about, but there's a movie out there called The Worst Person in the World. I've heard is really good. Licorice Pizza. I still haven't seen the Kristen Stewart movie Spencer about Princess Diana.
Yeah, I haven't seen that either.
I haven't seen that.
I haven't seen The French Connection.
I haven't seen The French Connection either. So there's still a ton.
Yeah, there's still a lot to see.
Hopefully we can squeeze some more in.
Yeah, definitely. I think we will be able to. Yeah. The end of the year was like so hectic. It was hard to like find time to squeeze movies in. But
I've actually watched more movies this month than any other month this year.
I've watched more movies in the last like 10 days probably than I have the rest of this month.
It's beautiful.
Just because you finally have some time off.
Yeah.
After like the holidays get going and stuff like that. But yeah, I think there's still a lot of movies to watch that are going to be, I think, contenders for like awards and stuff like that, or that are going to be really talked about.
We should go hard for the Oscars.
Yeah, I think so too. I would love to. I like doing that. If he's
listening, Dan, we're going to rope you in.
Yeah.
Because Dan loves the Oscars.
Yeah.
And I think we should rope Dan in for that.
I just like watching all of them. I just really like being able to to watch them all. And I know, but I really like being able to find because inevitably there's always one that gets talked about and I'm like, what is this?
What is this?
I don't know what this is. And so then I'll be able to go discover it. And it's just fun being able to discover movies that are, not as widely worldwide popular or famous or stuff like that are really, really good movies. So I just enjoy discovering all that stuff.
Yeah. So I'm excited for
also the Guillermo del Toro movie.
Just killing me.
The Guillermo del Toro movie.
By the way.
Yeah. We haven't seen that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Nightmare Alley.
Yeah. Nightmare Alley.
You know what? I haven't seen that, but I did watch the original Nightmare Alley.
Wow.
It was it's 1938 or 1940s. I saw it on Criterion Channel. I watched it.
Wow.
It was pretty good.
Really?
It was pretty good.
Nice.
And it's based on a book too. And I read how the book ends and it's much darker. And I heard Guillermo goes more towards that. So I'm like, ooh.
Not a surprise.
But I'm really hyped to see his take on it.
The new Batman is shaping up too, man. The new trailer
Batman
dropped.
movie looks like everything I've ever wanted. There is a shot in the have you seen the newest trailer?
Yeah.
There is a shot where the camera is attached to the back of the Batmobile.
Yeah.
And it kind of spins and then you see the car he hit flip.
Yeah.
It's just I was like, that's cinema. That is cinema. More if we're going to have 1 million superhero movies a year, they all need to look like this. This visually interesting.
It looks really good. Visually. Yeah. I'm not even talking about the beats of the story or character development or anything like that. I'm just saying from a purely visual standpoint, it looks amazing.
Yeah. I could listen to Robert Pattinson talk about how he's vengeance just all day.
Yeah. I think, I don't know if I've said this to you though, but one of my favorite shots from the trailer is it's a shot of Batman all dirty and messed up looking, which I think if you're fighting crime, you're going to get a lot dirtier than some of these people
don't talk about. Batman has to stink.
He's got,
Dude, you're telling me
This dude needs a shower.
You know why?
All the time. Yeah.
You know why when he holds a criminal up close and they're scared? It's because he smells.
It's because it's rank.
Dude, if I'm perched on a building for like 12 hours in a row in tight black like leather,
doesn't breathe.
Dude,
not breathable.
It's just gross.
You know, I feel like you get cold.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He doesn't have like a jacket that he wears.
Also, I feel like this.
You definitely get cold.
Dude, I would be using that cape as a jacket like crazy.
You'd be in the Circle K getting coffee, like warming up.
My Batman would be like so weird. It would just be like this black ominous figure with like a Circle K coffee cup in his hands.
Like a backpack.
Yeah.
It's the backpack and a laptop.
Batman. And the criminals be like, oh, dude, you've been drinking coffee? Like, some serious coffee breath.
Hold on, I gotta take a coffee break.
But this Batman is going the tradition of the Michael Keaton Batman, I think, where he genuinely looks insane. And that's the best way to do Batman.
Yeah.
I think we've talked about it.
He has to be. Like, he is insane.
Like, your Batman needs to be he needs, like, in the eyes, needs to look a little unhinged. Because if you're going to perch on a building for hours, you got to be a little unhinged.
There's something loose up there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. It looks really cool, though.
That's another thing. We should do an episode where we're talking about the movies we want to see in 2022.
Okay.
Yeah.
If there's any movies, I don't know how Andrew sends me comments and stuff that we get, but if there's any movies you guys want to see us talk about, put them in the comments.
Hit up that comment section.
I would love to talk about some movies.
Harass that comment
or
section.
just discover some stuff if you guys want to mention it. Help me discover things.
Who are the regular listeners? Dan?
Yeah, Dan.
Kristen.
Yeah.
Apparently Kristen. I just
listens every week.
Hey, Kristen.
Yeah. You get the shout out this week.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.
Those two.
Even though you hated the name of our podcast, I appreciate you are still listening.
Yeah, there you go.
And then I think, Carly and Anna aren't listening or watching, so we know that for sure.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah.
This will be the one episode they listen to, and then they're going to be like,
oh, geez.
Well, we were given a hard time, so we're not listening anymore.
Yeah. So maybe they can submit some things.
Yeah, there you go.
But if we want to do a Boba Fett recap, we need to get on out of here.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
All right.
See you next time.
See you next time. Anywhere that you listen to podcasts.
Yeah.
Spotify, Apple. Watch it on YouTube.
Next time you work out or driving to work, we'll be there.
So you do want people to listen to us while you work out.
I've changed my mind.
There you go, man.
Yeah, pump that iron.
Pump it while you're,
Yeah, I hope that
while you're lifting weights.
I hope that disagreement over don't look up really helped you reach that extra mile on the treadmill.
Really helps you fuel that.
The person whoever was listening was like getting really tired.
I can't believe he hates it.
I can't run one more mile. And then they hear me say, I didn't like don't look up, and they're like, whoa, I'm invested again. And they start running. All right, see ya.
Bye.